Corvette Z06 bright yellow. I mixed this as my sealer ground shade, which should be a good blendable area for that. There's my yellow. What was that code? That was 45 300N. Had a little trouble finding it on the formula here too for some reason. And I'm going to make a spray out. I'm going to put my sealer down, take this piece of tape off, and then start dropping base coats to get an idea of coverage while I'm jamming this door. Brand new door getting put on. We're going to have to blend the fender and the quarter on this thing, maybe more. We'll see. Okay, so jamming that door, I learned a few things that as my ground coat light gray sealer, and that's how it looks compared to this metal spray out. And you have to use a metal spray out with waterborne base coats, by the way. I learned that actually 3 good coats will cover pretty good with this shade, which is unusual. Yellow can be mega transparent, but that will be my base that I'll be blending out into the fender and quarter. You can see the first coat, how it works with these 2 different shades underneath. Second coat, third coat, I'm good to go. I'm going to clear this now, and then I'll be able to check my color match, and hopefully the color match is good, and I won't have to get into blending too much. If it's really bad, technically we should be blending half this car, but we'll see how it goes, and we'll take it from there. But now I have something to go by, a little more knowledge of what I'm in for with the rest of the car. It's a nice high-end Vette, and it's got to be right. Also, it's one of the hottest days we've had yet so far, and the humidity was above 90 earlier. Now it's about there, so I'm using that mixture for solids. It's just 10% of this new additive for the waterborne. And with the solids, all you need is just 10% of this. You don't have to put water in at all. And from what I just did in there at this temperature, I learned that the first couple of coats I'll go that route, and then I may, once I start achieving coverage, blending out the car, I may cut it with some binder and a little more water just to get it a little thinner so it doesn't stack up at my blend areas and get dry. And I should be okay. I just got to clear this and check the color. And there it is, clear coated. Now I'm going to go out and get the car out in the sun and see how these match up. Doing this ahead of time really takes some concern out of the paint job. You kind of know you got strong 3 coats at least before you start doing any kind of blending. You know what ground coat's going to work. And I also found out that this is the main tint net formula, and I only had half of one of these, so I had pre-ordered a couple of these. And usually this is tint that's just a couple of drops in the formula now and then, not the main part of the formula. So if I didn't have these today, I'd be in trouble too. Alright, on my spray out, things were looking good until I took the damaged Corvette door outside in the sun. I don't know if it shows on this camera, but my spray out is kind of a muddier, whiter looking shade, and I could blend that out over a huge area, but I don't have enough room before you get to the hood and neck lid on this Corvette, so I got to get this color a little better. I did find 2 variants. I mixed them last night, dabbed them on. That's one, that's the other. And when you put a solvent over there to make them look shiny, I don't think they're going to work either. That one maybe. I'm going to still make spray outs of these next 2 colors, and it'll be the same way that I did this. But taking a razor to this finish, I found out that the clear coat is tinted. The clear coat was coming off kind of yellowy, and underneath that there's almost a darker olive shade. This is actually a 3-stage solid yellow, and there's another database we have through Mitchell's that says it's a 3-stage. I don't have any 3-stage formulas. I have our suppliers looking into it now, and we'll see how this goes. Never heard of a 3-stage solid yellow. Kind of ridiculous, but this kind of has a, as the light gets stronger, it kind of has a green depth to it. But in inside light it's better. Outside, the stronger light seems to go further in. So this is kind of a 1-dimensional color. This is kind of a 3-dimensional color. So I may have to recreate that somehow. Not figured it out yet. Luckily this guy's in no hurry. He just wants the Corvette right. Okay, Corvette color update. This was my part next to the Prime, which I didn't like. This was a variant, which, it's kind of a different version of that. And another variant, it's got that green flip to it. That may be blendable without having to paint half the car. And I was going to make another one. I was thinking about trying some kind of a 3-stage deal like what was going on in here. But this is not bad. I think that's going to blend. It's got that, kind of goes a little olive at this angle. It's weird. Today this thing's getting blended. I'm going to try and stay out of the hood. I think I got just enough room, so I don't really need to blend the hood. Fender, rocker, quarter, this piece, and the lid. Not taking any chances. Cool. So anytime you're blending the rocker panel on a Vette, you gotta jack it up a lot. And these aren't fun to jack up. This thing's got some brakes on it. I'm going to use this air jack, try and get it under at that point. Man, that just fit. Now I got to find a place for the jack stand. I got a fairly solid place there. That's the trick on these, finding a solid place to put a jack stand. Probably could have put one here. You don't want anything slipping over to here. That's all carbon fiber. Caught the very edge of the frame rail there, which is a pretty good area. And I'd like to get this up a little higher, but it's not happening. We've had them come in for scrapes along these rockers, and pretty much all the work is under here like this. Yeah, there's not a lot of good jacking points, and half the time you can't get a jack under these, they're so low. But you don't want to, actually I didn't want jack stands anyways, like here, or too close over there, because I got to get under here. Now it's time to clean this up a little better and get masking. Fairly complicated masking job, but has to be just right. So I'm going to seal that door light gray, and I'm going to dust that light gray and all these attachment points, and I'm going to kind of keep it away from up here. I'm going to kind of just bring it in down there. Same over here. Dust it in that way. And then I got a huge blending area, so we should be able to pull this off. Here's 2 coats. You can still see it a little bit. I'm gonna put a 3rd good heavy coat down. I've managed to stay away from up here. It's pretty much just down at that angle. So we'll get 1 more coat down. That should get coverage. I'll check it with the sun gun, make sure I have coverage. I don't see a little shadow where that sealer ended. And then I think I'll cut it with some binder, over reduce a little bit, stretch it out, bring it out just a little further out here. It seems to be melting in pretty nice. And we'll get her cleared, and that should be it. It was a reasonable match, but it still wasn't a 3-stage. You just don't get the same depth. It did, according to those spray outs, they did look good outside. But that door comes close to here, and here, and I just want all those tied in, and the gas flap too. Got to have those all tied in. Oh good, the humidity's starting to come down a little bit. It was actually drying slower than it was last night when I got the first 2 coats on at the end of the day. Oh, let's see, what was I going to say? Yeah, my first coat went on kind of wet, and I had a little run at the bottom of the fender. Luckily in an area that doesn't show, but with the waterborne base coat, it just kind of dab that little sag off, dry it down, and just dust it in some more. It goes on so thin, it's not a huge issue when that happens. A little tip for Matt at Slow SRT and VW Darren, maybe Tom's Wonderful World would like this tip. Nibbing a little spot in the base coat's really hard to sand out because it's kind of tacky in nature even when it's dry. Norton has this stuff called Rotolo 1000 grit. It's like a foam backed. It's the best I've ever seen for doing a little base coat nib, and then a couple dust coats of base coat back over that area. Works pretty good. I've used this multiple times, and that's about it for the clogging. I've used it on the waterborne base coat. Really doesn't like to nib at all, but for some reason this works really well. It was suggested to me by my supplier, and yeah, it works good. It's the best I've ever seen for nibbing base coat. I'm going to order some and have this on hand at all times. And now I'm going to check the sun gun one more time on the Vette, and going to get to clearing. So this time of year it's a different temperature every 20 minutes. This morning, after last week's high heat, this morning it's probably 68 degrees. I ran booth heat just because I couldn't get that base coat to dry for nothing, but now it's back down. We're just running it at 68 degrees. This is my clear coat of choice for a larger area. I'm using a colder temp hardener, which should be just right for this temp, and I want that setting up fairly fast because there's a lot of crazy little curves and places where clear coat, if I went with a floor hardener, it could kind of take off on me a little bit. And I don't want to get into buffing too much on this thing. So this is my clear coat choice. 2 coats of this done. Well, that was the absolute best I could do with that color. If it doesn't look right now, I don't know. I'm out of tricks. I have no idea what GM did there. It looks like it might have been painted once and then painted again at the factory. But what that olive stuff is, I don't know. It's some kind of 3-stage solid yellow with a tinted clear. Without a formula similar to that, all I can do is get a 2-stage color as close as possible and blend big, and that's what I did. A lot of things could have gone wrong with this job right from the estimate on down. I think it's so far so good, but the door's not on yet. Need to see that out in the sun bolted on. one little chip putting that door back on, and I'm back to the drawing board all over again. But right now I'm pretty happy with it. She looks good. Blends look good. Seeing it out in the sun together will be the big test. But I went more than 3 coats. Coverage shouldn't be an issue. Hey, focus camera. Let's get full clutch. Here we go. Well, the blended out areas look good, thankfully. It's very minor denibbing tomorrow. I gotta leave the tape on because I called for a supplement, and it's like the guy's gonna take his full 3 days. And if anything could be considered a butt match, it would be right there and there. And it's gonna be okay.